as well as finding a way to not appreciate everything I was given until a much older age. A lot of money was completely wasted on ridiculous iPhone and console games just to look good. I thought it was comedy that famous defensive back Deion Sanders once quoted, "If you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you play good. If you play good, they pay good." Well, for me, looking good definitely didn't always make me play good, considering the amount of money spent over and over on games that were meant to pull you in the way they yanked me. My mom could never forgive me in those credit card statements, even to this day. I attended Dover Middle School starting from 5th grade all the way until grade 8. The early years of middle school were quite tough considering many of my closest friends were all football players, unlike me who never really had an interest in playing the sport competitively. But luckily, middle school was how I would meet a great friend of mine, and his name was Alex LeClaire. He was a hockey and baseball player like me, as well as adding football to his arsenal. We had math and English together my 5th grade year, and all we would do was laugh. We laughed more than we talked. That's how close we became after sitting through boring lectures about nouns, commas, vowels, etc. Later, heading into the 8th grade year, Alex was spending night and day at my lake house. It consisted of constant tubing and just enjoying the wonderful weather New England gives you in the summer. I couldn't imagine another person sitting in the tube next to me. It brought a smile to my face that didn't come around very often. In the fall, the football players would have practice for their travel league team after school almost every day throughout most of the season, and the winter as well. It was most of their main sport. Having that in mind, I would have to make up time of my own with a friend I wasn't as close with. My list was pretty revised to seek out the best friends possible to fit my hobbies and entertainment level as a 13-year-old boy. The middle school system at Dover was rather large. About 3 elementary schools could attend Dover Middle School. Those elementary schools were located all around Dover. I attended the biggest of the 3, known as Woodman Park School, while almost every single one of my middle school friends attended either Garrison or a Horn Street school. Although they were all new to me in middle school, I seemed to bond with these boys so much easier and quicker than I could ever imagine. By the end of my first year, the bond spiked between me and the quarterback, the whole receiving corps, and basically just the whole football team, and everyone assumed I was part of the special teams with my 90-pound kicking physique. Our common interests and just daily conversations were what kept me close to all of them. We returned from Christmas break, and everything seemed smooth, except Alex to me and my parents was a bit off. I started telling a few friends if they knew what was going on and if he was happy, or at least normal. He missed the first few days of school and was hanging out with not the most influential and confident people. Just like everyone growing up, I assumed it was just a phase. We were going into high school next year, a brand new school as well, so I told myself I had nothing to worry about. On January 9th, 2018, Alex passed away unexpectedly at 15 years old. I was on the way home from hockey practice in Exeter, and I don't remember being able to even process the reason I was in the car or where I was going. I didn't know if I was feeling afflicted or even anything at all. My eyes and mouth were unable to open the rest of the night, and I didn't even attempt sleeping. The next few months following were more than just a realization period of my life. I began to understand how easy it is for someone to hide their emotions, including myself and everyone around me. Being who you are means you're going to feel ways you don't want to feel and experience events you never want to dream of. Having been through what I would say a pretty easy childhood, never would I have expected to have the weight on my shoulder that I did at 14 years old. I couldn't have had more supportive people by my side throughout the whole process, mainly because I was able to communicate and relate with friends of mine the same age as me, who were going through the same pain, if not worse. The wake and funeral were the first time I ever attended either of those in my life. Seeing every single one of not only my best friends, but also his, made it so much more meaningful and special. But at that time, there was just too much grief and regret going through my mind sitting in the 4th row of the funeral home. A few days later, I was still in a huge state of confusion, but a small ray of light shined through my dark bedroom window, and I knew I couldn't just sit around and wait any longer. What happened to me is what happened to everyone. Traumatic events are what cause maturity and growth in every human being. All it really takes is time and realization. Everything I've ever done in my life after the incident is done not only with the thought of trusting the process and enjoying the moment, but understanding that any moment, aware of the situation or not, could possibly be the last. I'm still trying to get better at this, and it all takes time. My family, including my family here at school, have all been unaware of the mawkishness battled over time. I couldn't quite fathom true horrific events, but they all managed to be there every step of the way, making sure I am who I should be and continuing to strive and reach potential everyone knows is possible. I think it is important for people to know everybody has bad days. Some worse than others, but most of the time, people will be there to support you whether you're aware or not. My father has been probably the most supportive person in my entire life, whether it was related to sports, girls, school, or anything along the lines of me needing a dash of moral support. He understood me better than anyone, mainly because he grew up exactly how I did, but without much of a father figure, and all he wanted to do was fill that void for me and make sure I knew he was there for me. My mother, without a doubt, was with me every step of the way as well, by helping me cope while my father was there to help me understand. Both of my parents contributed in their own ways to help me become who I am today. Without them, I am sure I wouldn't be able to give this here right now. Thank you.